Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Parents Lounge. I'm Jamie Killer. That's Jason Gowan. Um,
Hello.
it's a late July. Kids are in the midst of camps, and summer's. People are starting to order school supplies. We're in that part of the year with parenting, and it's good to have a little Tuesday parental mental health break.
I need it. I'm already starting to break out again from last year. Or last
I
week.
mean, dude, you went to a doctor. The doctor said you have hives, and it's a direct response to your children.
Correct. It's stress hives. And he gave me prednisone and it went away. And then I stopped taking the prednisone and now it is back. So, but the common factor is that I didn't get rid of the children. So if you don't get rid of the reason you're getting the hives, they're just going to keep coming back. Sure, my kidney and liver are going to go because you can't be on prednisone that long, but I'm not going to become Quasimodo again. Jamie, my eye was hanging down. Like that's where I got.
It's in this eye, I think. My eye's got blood on it, like a bloody thing. And so here's what happened. I think I scratched it taking my contact out or something, or Claire hit me or something. There's a little just in the corner of my eye with a little blood.
Either or Claire hit me.
I don't know. Something hit me in the eye, but I didn't feel it. I woke up this morning and I was like, whatever. And I go to put my contacts in. I'm like, holy cow, there's blood in my eye, whatever. And my wife's standing near me and I go, hey, I got some blood in my eye. And she goes, that's the first sign of COVID. And I go, she goes, that's symptom number one. I go, I'm pretty sure bloody eyes are not.
I don't recall that one.
And then she goes, it might not be COVID, but I was reading about a bloody eye disease. And I go, I don't think that's a thing either. But
not that there might have been some sort of trauma that happened to the eye. Immediately it was a life-threatening illness.
Well, it's like my old bit, my wife's on WebMD all the time with she's like got a pain in her shoulder. She's like, that's it. I got tuberculosis or something because WebMD told her. I honestly, Cam, I might have monkeypox. I don't know. But when guys will be pissing blood and won't even think twice. I'm sure that's going to clear up. You know what? That's what I thought. Joey Steelers says zombie 28 days later. Yeah, it was in my corner of my eye. I can feel it's a little red now, but I put my.
Remember that old original South Park where they turned into zombies and everybody kept saying it was just pink eye?
I do remember that. You know what's funny? Dude, that show's still going strong.
It's still going because people as a whole are still doing stupid stuff.
I never watch it anymore. I never watch it.
I watched their COVID special, and that was what the last I saw of it.
It's still as funny. Those guys are two of the funniest people who've ever come through Hollywood, I think. And there's still episodes where you're come out of the closet, Tom. There are episodes that are so.
That is one of my favorite episodes of all time.
I mean, the show is so well done, and it's one of those. It's like The Simpsons. I used to watch, every week you'd have to watch this. It was Destination, and now you're like, it's almost like it's just too much. It's like sometimes I'll go to see a stand-up comic who's blindingly funny. I remember seeing Brian Regan, and 45 minutes in, I'm in pain. My stomach is hurting so bad. Do you know Brian Regan at all? He's one of the greatest comics of all time. Just squeaky clean, destroyer of worlds. And at some point, you're I can't take anymore, man. You're killing me. I just can't. I feel that way about South Park. I just never watch it anymore. And I go, I know it's really funny.
Yeah, I always forget it's there. And it's all the old seasons are streaming, so you literally can pick up wherever you left off. But I just haven't.
I listen. I know
I have so much time as it is.
I know I'm the old guy who I loved channel surfing. Kids today, they don't know channel surfing because you had a cable, and once you got to the paid channels, whatever it was, HBO, Cinemax, whatever, you could just scroll. You know what I mean? You go page by page by page, and you could see, and you go, oh, and I would even know time. You're oh, Casino, it's about 50 minutes into it. That's right about the time that Pesci moves to Vegas, it's going to start going south quick. Like, and so you click over to it and you would watch that for a bit and then you'd scroll again. And nowadays you have to know the destination. Like sometimes they're like, you need to watch this. And I'll go, is that Hulu or is that Prime or is that HBO Max or is that Paramount Plus or is that Netflix? And you're like, I can't even find it sometimes.
Jace is doing this new thing with Netflix in particular, where he does a different kind of channel surfing, where like he'll scroll through the lists and just watch little snippets of the commercial, and if it doesn't catch him and that first thing, he moves on, just like I used to on a channel. So it's evolved into a whole other thing.
Well, I mean, that's what TikTok is basically. That's what it said. Listen, you like scrolling? We're going to give you the ultimate scroll. But I do like, I like to get some substance or something. It's so point. You're like, I just don't want to watch bad dancing and lip syncing. I can't just watch that.
No. I see. That's the kind of thing. And like, my algorithm on like Reels on Instagram and TikTok has got it down pretty well at what I want to see at this point. Except for my kids, like close-up magic, like that stuff pops up because he wants to watch it, and so like I'm like scrolling at the stuff I want to see, and then I get like these magic tricks.
Brandon's going to see Super Pets on Saturday.
We are as well.
We are going to go see that too. Yeah, that's awesome, Brandon. Yeah, that's a good one.
Very cool, Brandon.
By the way, are you worried at all about a child that's super into magic at that age? I mean, that's a kid who flirts with the dark side, right?
Yeah, and it's not the one I expected. It's the oldest one. So
honestly, here's like, so when in The Omen, when Damien's born, right? He's Satan, but everyone around him becomes his minions. Remember, the maid is like, "It's all yours, Damien. The world is yours," and then she hangs herself, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's an incredibly dark movie."
Well, I mean, he's conjuring stuff on my head.
So when the dark soul comes in, your little one, he incorporates the older sibling, who's at this point it's his henchman. It's his, what's it in Frankenstein? What's the side guy?
Igor.
Igor, isn't he? It is Igor, right?
It is Igor, yeah.
Actually, I believe it's Igor. If it's Marty Feldman, right?
Well done.
Igor.
I love that movie.
It's one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Dark Lord. I went out. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I had to do my. I'm in my mid-40s nightly pee because I can't just get a full 8 hours of sleep. And I heard him talking in his crib, so I went to check to see what he was doing. He looks up at me just like this, Jamie, and he just goes,
"Dude, nothing's scarier than a child who goes." You're like, wait, what's happening here? Well, sure, because of what?
I didn't even talk. Like, I just walked up and he looked. It's like the library ghost in Ghostbusters at the beginning. She's like,
dude, that's how the opening of Children of the Corn starts, I think, with the kid just like, and nothing's scarier than like a kid with a British accent. Like, that's when a kid's like, "I'd like to be there too, Papa," or something. You're like, and there's an echo too. You're like, wait, what's happening? "I've got another bowl of porridge." You're like, dude, I can't.
Kids, he talks a lot of smack to me, but he doesn't. They're nonverbal, so he just speaks gibberish. It's like talking to one of the Sims.
Yeah,
it's like, "Who should have? And he's like, and I yell at him and tell him to stop doing it. And he does talk back to me. I have no idea what he's saying, but I know it's not good.
No, it's like Nell. You ever see the movie Nell with Jodie Foster? Everyone was watching. It's like, God dang, you're old, dude. Yeah, Nell. She's like, "Cuckoo, Eleba, Eleba, Eleba." And I saw that before I had kids, right? And you're like, well, that's cute and adorable. Now I have kids, and if one of my kids, actually Hannah does, she becomes a cat sometimes. I wonder if anybody out there, is this normal or is my child insane? Because your child's like doing gibberish. My daughter becomes a cat. Meow! Like, not just like I'm mocking cats, but like to the point where she's like becoming a cat and walking around the house. And then she's like, meow. And you're like, dude, my wife and I had to both go like, listen, it's not funny. We're not amused. You've got to stop doing the cat thing. It's killing us. It's terrifying.
Did she give any explanation when she turned back into Hannah?
she really likes cats. Apparently, I don't know what's happening. It's easier if she turned into a cat. Wouldn't that be great if a kid turned into a cat? You wouldn't need a babysitter. You could just put a litter box, lock the door, and go, you're a cat. And then when you come home, you go, you're not a cat anymore.
We should try that, see how it goes.
No, I mean, my kids are.
So a big thing that was happening here right before the school year let out, we kept getting these messages from local folks who were parents were rioting because they had heard rumors that the school had set up a litter box in the boys and girls bathrooms for furry representation because some kids were identifying as cats now. And
that's not real.
It's not real. And like I kept saying, and I was like, guys, in order for them to have bought the litter, there would have to have been a budget approval. If these guys are trying to cut teachers' jobs, there's no way they've approved litter. Like it didn't happen. And also, I've seen the YouTube videos. You can train the cat to go on the toilet.
That's true. So people were. This was some kind of propaganda campaign.
It was an urban legend. It was just an urban legend that was spreading. Happened to be coming through our very rural area, and the people didn't bother to, fact check it.
Out of all the urban legends in the country, I feel like that's one of the least harmful urban legends that's going on.
I got such a kick out of watching the comment section of people saying that they weren't going to allow their kids to go with people who represented as cats. And like, no son of mine will be hanging out with cats.
But what if it was a dog? Would it be okay if it was a dog or a
dog did not get addressed, but I know litter boxes were an issue.
I mean, I just hate anytime I know a guy, if I know a single guy who has a cat, like I had a friend and he had a Siamese cat in his house and it was just him and the cat. And I always thought something really weird was going on. I mean, people who are watching, any comments about like single dudes with cats, it's like a guy, it freaks me out a little bit. We're like, why would you have a cat? Why wouldn't you get a dog?
So I ended up, when we divorced, I ended up with all the pets. And so I had 2 dogs and a cat.
Yeah, but you inherited them. This guy was
correct.
A single
dude. I didn't seek it out. No.
I mean, what kind of single dude goes, you know what would make my life complete right now? Unless you're trying to attract crazy women. Like if that's your goal, like if you want, for a crazy woman who's like, oh my God, he loves cats. Like then maybe it's like a predator with candy. You know what I mean? Like trying to do
I can see where that would be a thing. I do see it.
You mean luring people in with cats?
Yeah, so like I can see where that being a possible pro for somebody to do that. I do see that.
I just never understood like any guy who has a cat. You're like, what?
It seems like a lot of work to lure women in, though.
Well, he told me, he goes, it's less work than a dog because you don't have to walk the cat. Oh. Like the cat's just on its own, and the cat lives in the house, and the cat has a litter box. The dog, you got to walk the dog.
The thing about cats, it's like they intentionally make messes. Like dogs, if they do it, it's never an intentional thing. Cats will make a mess just to be an ass.
Oh, cats will go dogs will too. They'll go on your, like I have friends who let I'm talking about in my album about people who let their dogs sleep in their beds where you're like, I don't know if you know this, dogs don't wear underwear. You know that, right? And they like to, when they sit, it's like, like they're branding the pillow. I can't have it. I can't. Our dog doesn't go anywhere near our bedroom.
I never thought I'd see the day on an airplane where like dogs would be just riding up with us. Like, and we are to that place.
Well, that's another question I have for everyone out there is like when they go, it's got to be like a service animal or something. And everyone's like, oh, I couldn't survive without that dog. I mean, mentally, I'd be a mess. And then they walk the dog. They get a certificate from somebody to get it on the plane.
Oh, so you can just go on Amazon and buy the vest, and it's like a support animal or something, but it's not.
Animal vest, yeah.
It's not in any. There's no certification on those. You just buy the vest.
That's so funny.
So does that, and then you don't have to, and on some airlines you don't have to pay for them. So like if you slapped a service vest on me, can I be your support co-host and you just take me on a plane?
It's so funny. I'm flying Sunday. I'm going to fly.
Yeah, you're leaving.
When am I leaving?
Sunday.
I'm leaving Sunday. I'm going golfing. But it's my first trip without working, just a trip with the guys since the kids were born. The check in Arizona, says Cam, certs and all, you fake it, it's 250 per offense.
Wow.
Is that right? If you by the way, loving the mohawk. I saw the video of him cutting his hair into a mohawk. I mean, obviously we know he's a little deranged, but I love that. He's eccentric in my book, but yeah. But I'm going on my first trip away from my family without my kids since they were born. Like I've traveled before, but it was I did shows or I had to shoot something and I was working. But this is the first trip in 9 years since the kids were born that I have gone with just my friends. It's my friend's 50th birthday and we're going to Bandon Dunes. Anybody out there who knows golf would know that Bandon Dunes is a very serious the guy he booked this 2 years ago. You have to book it 2 years ahead of time. It's that kind of place.
Really?
Yeah.
So he booked this like mid-pandemic.
Yeah, he booked his 50th birthday when he was 48. Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
We should, Jason, should we crowdfund his bail?
Yeah.
Dude, Freddie B, no better words have ever been spoken. And I seriously, I don't know how much trouble you can get into. There's nothing, everyone's like, there's nothing to do but golf. And most people I've talked to are like, that sounds horrible. But I'm like, we're playing like 36 a day. I have actually been getting in shape solely to go on this trip. Like I've been hiking and I did an hour on the elliptical today just solely so I can get ready to play that much golf. You won't really enjoy it from the second day onward. If it's 4+ days, you'll end up feeling bad because you forget what blank weasels having kids are. Enjoy it. Yeah.
Do you?
I'm having pangs of guilt already, but I think
Do you?
Yeah, of course I am. I have Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean?
You saw me when I went to California. You saw me in the thick of it.
You were a mess. I'm going to be a bit of a mess, but I'll conquer it. Here's what's funny. I told my wife I was doing this show, right? And so I guess these are the kinds of things she does when I'm not with her. So I go, hey, I'm going to be on the show for like an hour and a half or whatever. I don't think she's watching. She never watched My Boy. She never watched.
She didn't know who I was until I came to California.
She doesn't know anything. My wife literally has no, which is kind of great in one way. I like the independence of it all, but she's never, we're not worried about each other. We're never concerned.
I was like your secret mistress for a whole year.
Yeah, you are. You're my work wife.
Saw me secretly every Tuesday
This is so like 10 minutes into the show when this started. She sent me a text, and the text was, she obviously had looked up the restaurant we got engaged at. It's called Telepan in New York. We got engaged there, and it's permanently closed. And she sent me a photo of the thing that said permanently closed, and then it says so sad. So my brain is like, I saw her 2 seconds before the show started. She went upstairs. So obviously I came to do the show and she went upstairs and Googled the location we got engaged at or something. I don't know why would she be on that? And then it said permanently closed and she's like, oh, which it is. It's sad. It's sad that the place I got engaged at is no longer, I guess, a restaurant, but yeah.
I got engaged on the set of a television show.
What show?
This time next year with Kat Deely.
To Catch a Predator? It wasn't To Catch a Predator. Sorry. I should have had it right out of the chute. What was I thinking about? And when you said on a TV show, I said, To Catch a Predator. I think I saw that episode. Didn't you showed up with a ring, some Bartles and James, and a pack of condoms, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, yeah. And the boy's name was, I forget what his name was, but it was.
Wow. Thank you. Unbelievable.
Listen, what are you going to do, man? It's so funny. Oh, by the way, for people who are watching, Lachlan Patterson was supposed to be here tonight. He is, he's touring with Russell Peters right now, and they are in Canada, and he is on stage as we speak. So he had to pull out at the last second, which
is how I should have,
Look at me
Sure.
setting you up. Look at me setting you up for jokes.
Yeah, you did. Thank you very
So
much.
Eddie Pence is coming in and Claire Kramer's coming in, but we thought, honestly, we talked and we haven't done this in a while. We're just gabbing. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I also forgot to send out the links to our guests today, this is on me. That is on me.
No, it's not. You're taking the blame. Here's the other thing. We should talk about the other show. We actually did a show yesterday, so this feels like bonus footage for us because we did a show with the moms of Tampa. That's what she said. It's right behind you, Jason.
Yeah, because Steve Carell's right behind me.
That's right. So we should talk about them because we did this show with this. They are influencers. They are moms from Tampa. One's the bio mom and one's the stepmom, and they are best friends. And, we had joked about before we met them because they have amazing content. They have a ton of followers. They're really sweet. They're cute. Seem to be nice and stuff. But, in the back of our heads, we're like a bio mom with the stepmom becoming best friends. We're thinking murder, suicide waiting to happen.
That's what I expected.
Turns out we did a fantastic show. We're going to do a replay of it. We're going to play it again next week. But they were the coolest, nicest people we've met in a long time. They were fantastic. We love them. Yeah. Sometimes you meet influencers and I was shocked because a lot of times as an actor, I've met influencers and they're not the nicest sometimes. They're so entitled.
No.
And these
what was interesting is that, we had told them we'll give you a hard out at an hour and they wanted to stay. They were having such a good time. And then they sent me a thing after saying, that was so much fun. Can't wait to do it again.
They were so professional and I just love them. I thought they were sweethearts. And I did think, we talked about the fact that they would write a book and make a show because the show, I guess, what was the premise of My Two Dads? Why they had a daughter who was Stacey Keenan, who they didn't know who the real father was between Paul Reiser and Greg Evigan. They were like 23andMe or DNA. What?
All that. And the
because
final
now they go, yeah. But Maury Povich was on back then, naming the no.
It was like 87-ish.
Okay. Because I wanted to pitch a show for them called My Three Moms. You have to do three because comedies in threes. Yes. So the one mom's the bio mom, and then the dude marries the next wife, and they become best friends. Yeah. And then he needs to divorce her and marry a third wife.
Who Kate volunteered to be.
It's a Mormon show without polygamy, right? Because you're fully divorced and then moving on. But all the moms get together. I don't know about you, but one time I had an ex-girlfriend who became a therapist. This is a crazy story.
You told me about this recently. I had never heard this till just recently.
She's a sweetheart. I love her. She was fantastic. She was a great woman. I love her. She's fantastic. It didn't work out between us years ago, but she became a therapist. And then she told me when I got married, she's like, I do couples all the time. I would love to have you guys come in and I'll do some couples therapy. And I was like, hold on. Back up. What you're insinuating you would like to see happen is for me and my current wife to come in and do therapy with an old girlfriend who we went out for a while, who it didn't work out. You want me to go into, that would be the worst. That's
it does feel like there's a little bit of a conflict of interest.
That's a sketch gone bad. Like my wife would just go, well, another thing happened. And before she would even tell the story, the therapist / ex-girlfriend would go, I knew it. He's a dick. I knew he did some bad things, right?
Did you and this girl end on good terms?
It was, listen, does anybody ever, I guess I have ended on really, really good terms. It was marginal terms, I guess.
Really? What's that like to end on good terms with a woman?
I have a few I'm still really good friends with that I, just bad timing where I think a lot of getting married is when timing that you're ready to get married, because I feel like I dated some amazing women that had my life been on a different path and I wasn't like trying to become an actor in my 30s and working as a bartender and, traveling the country doing stand-up. If I wasn't trying to achieve that than if I was in like a, if I just had a day job and I was doing something that was more consistent, I might have settled down earlier. I don't know.
I had 3 that switched teams as soon as they finished dating me. And
honestly, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. That honestly makes a lot of sense.
I ruined them for men. That's what it is.
Or I would argue you didn't ruin them for men. You made them better for women.
Well,
why does it have to be a negative? Why can't you have guided them into maybe you were the shaman that took them on the journey that was necessary for them to achieve their supreme happiness?
Oh, I like that. Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. Let's go where, and honestly, this may be a business you could start. Do you see it?
I'm like, good luck, Chuck.
You know what? You are kind of good luck, Chuck, right? Because every girl he gets married,
every girl that he like would break up with would find their perfect someone right after.
By the way, can we talk about movies? Like, that's a movie that needs to be remade because that is a brilliant premise. We keep remaking movies that were already fantastic. Like the Batman trilogy was unbelievably good, and then they go, well, we need to reboot Batman. No, you don't. You need to go remake Good Luck, Chuck. Paycheck with Ben Affleck as a Philip K. Dick.
Yes.
It's a great story. They destroyed it. I would argue that what's the Keanu Reeves one? 47 Ronin or something? Like, there are movies that you're like, this could be good. Actually, let's ask some of the people who are watching. Give us some movies that should be remade that I would argue are fantastic premises. Where you're like, gosh, that's a good premise. Poorly done. The Beatles one with a kid. It was one of the best premises I ever saw. I think it's called Yesterday. And he has a bike wreck or something. And when he comes to, nobody has ever heard of the Beatles except for him. Did you ever see it?
I did not. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
And he plays guitar. So he plays like Yesterday. All my troubles seem so and someone sitting next to him goes, oh my God, that's an amazing song. Did you write that? And he's like, no, the Beatles wrote that. He goes, who are the Beatles? You never saw that movie?
I didn't. I know it. I just have never seen it.
Or poor execution. But the premise is one of the greatest premises of all time. Where you fall, you go down, and then when you come up, somebody's forgotten. Like, it's a different history. I think it's great.
I'll have to. Well, no, I don't want to watch it because you said it's terrible.
Sometimes there's movies that I think should be remade. That you're like, oh, that was so close, dude, so close, just fell short, didn't cut it. And I would say Good Luck, Chuck's one of those because the premise alone is fantastic. A guy who girls are deliberately dating him because they know it's become a rumor, right? And then I don't even know how the movie goes. He falls in love with one.
Yes.
And he doesn't want her to break up, but she wants to go find the guy she's going to marry.
Yep. Yeah, dude. It's Jessica Alba and Dane Cook.
What's he say? We can remember it for you wholesale. Still needs to be properly made.
I don't know that one.
Is that a movie? We can remember it for you wholesale. I've never heard of that. Is that a movie? Narcolepsy 27. Did he fall asleep in the middle of that? I don't know. I like.
Yes, it's based on a short story based on a short story.
Oh, interesting.
By Philip K. Dick.
Oh, is that Paycheck? Or is that a different Philip? Is that a Philip K. Dick?
Yeah, story? It is. Yes, it is. It's one of his shorts. It's a short story.
Dude. Everything isn't Total Recall. What else is Philip K. Dick? Like, that dude is Nostradamus, right? He sees the future. Love Potion number 9. Tate Donovan, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who the girl is. I was watching, what's one of my favorite ones? I don't even know if it needs to be remade, but the Patrick Dempsey one, Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah. He's
like mowing the lawn or something with the girl on the lawnmower. Patrick Dempsey. He had a couple movies. Loverboy, I think he had another one. Some of those movies. What about Just One of the Girls? Now it would be called Just One of Them. That's
Sandra Bullock's the other one in that.
Sandra Bullock was in. That's right, with Tate Donovan. She's in. And they were a couple for a long time. That was like back in the 1940s, I think, with Humphrey Bogart. That was a long time ago.
And then what happened to him? He was in the last thing I know he was in was the OC, and then I never saw him again.
Dude, that guy's in everything. He goes all the way back to that Space One with him and Ethan Hawke or something when they were kids.
What was the Jim Carrey movie where he and Damon Wayans played and Jeff Goldblum played aliens?
Earth Girls Are Easy.
There we go.
Come on, dude. You're not going to get. By the way, that movie's great.
It is a good movie.
It's a good movie. Julie Brown, Downtown, isn't it? It's Julie Brown. What's her name? Gosh. And Jeff Goldblum is one of the aliens. He's like, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. Funny. Super funny. That's funny. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but I love it. It's about movies that need to be remade. That they keep remaking stuff where you're like, dude, what are you doing? Don't remake that. But they'll.
And they do it all the time.
It's because it's name recognition. Sometimes
it is. Yeah, and nobody wants to make the effort.
It's way easier to go off the screenplay from before. I think they did. Aren't they doing like Roadhouse or something? Like they're doing. I mean,
they're doing like nearly shot-for-shot remakes of Disney films, but as CGI, like making them more realistic. Like it happens all the time now.
Dude, they remade. Remember when they remade Psycho with Vince Vaughn?
Yes.
You know what, Freddie? I watched The Fly. Freddie B's asking, would you remake The Fly? Boy, I don't know. It's great. It still holds up. Even though it's like not even CGI, it's Cronenberg, and it's so Jeff Goldblum is so good as The Fly.
He is really good in that.
Yeah, it's still a great film. I don't know if I'd remake that one. They remade Psycho, right? With Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche, like frame by frame. They remade Point Break. You're like, these are the ones that you don't need to remake.
No, why would you? What was wrong with Point Break?
Nothing. It's still watchable. It's actually more watchable than the second one. Where you're like,
what really held up was Ghostbusters, the original.
I mean, my favorite thing ever is when Bill Murray he's shocking the kid. He's like, what's it look? He's like, I think it's 3 squiggly lines. He goes, so close or something. I forget what he says. He goes. And then he zaps, and the kid's gum falls out. He's like, yeah, it falls out. Yeah, super. Years from now, like if my kids ever do a show like this, years from now, they're gonna go like the same way we're talking about like Ghostbusters and Point Break and stuff. They're gonna be having a reminiscent discussion about, I remember when I was a kid and we were watching hamsters go through maze videos. And then you remember that slime video where they made the one with the shaving cream and blue sparkle? Oh man, those were good times, weren't they?
Yeah, my son will go on about his close-up magic. He told me today, he goes, you know what I want to be when I grow up? And I was like, what? And he said, I'd like to host this show like you do with the Parents Lounge. I don't want to have to work very hard.
Apparently he wants to live in utter poverty like the rest of us. That's the other thing. It's like every time
I'm like, do you know how much work I put into that show? Like I am hard working all the time.
That's the other thing about influencers is like people are so full of it, like what they're making. Like, because I know some people with some serious numbers and they're like, I made this much. And they're accumulating the math of the products they were given. They don't make in cash, but they were given like a certain product to do a product placement or whatever. But
I would just get the product and start selling the product. Just the free stuff that I was given, I'll just hawk it.
That's funny. Hey, so I was reading an article today about, and I'm going to ask people this one too, because this is super cool. The article was at what age is parenting the hardest? Anybody who's watching, put in the comments, what age do you think is the hardest age to parent?
Of the age of the children.
At the age of the children, 0 to 18 or whatever. What number do you think is the worst age to parent somebody?
Because if you're not talking about the adults, I can tell you 44 is no picnic.
No, exactly. I mean, people always say the terrible twos, right? I always said that it was called the terrible twos because 3 didn't rhyme with twos. I always thought 3 was way worse.
3 is, I will say without a shadow of a doubt, with all 3 of our children, 3 is a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, and that's Saturday.
I'm getting hives for 2 weeks in a row because of them.
I mean, the only reason I really do this show is so I can feel better about my existence with children by
because of
living.
me.
When I say I'm living vicariously through you, it's kind of a reverse vicariously. The age whenever the second kid was born. Dude, I don't know who Narcolepsy 27 is, but he's my new fave viewer. Dude, that's so funny. The age whenever the second kid is born. Yeah. Although mine, first one was 18 months when the second one was born. But yeah.
You had them close enough together like that.
Everyone's like, oh, why did you do that? Doubling the number is what we did, is what did it. Double. What about so Narcolepsy 27, Jason had one, they decided to have a second, but when the second set comes in as twins, then he skipped 2. He went from 1 to 3. And by the way, 2's not a good number to skip when you're having kids. You want to go from 1 to 2. You don't want to go 1 to 3. That's a train wreck.
Yes, I'm living proof to it.
I mean, you're sitting there not only trying to take care of 2 kids, but this kid's not old enough to help. The first one is already still.
And we were rehabbing my wife, like when the twins were born.
And that's right. And your wife had a stroke and almost died giving birth to your children. So you really had a brand new set of twins. How old was Jace at that point? He was 3 and super angry that they I'm not down for that power up. That's hilarious. And your wife was I mean, she was pretty messed up. She was in bed. She couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and I didn't have any PTSD from the whole thing.
No, and honestly, I mean, your skills as a parent are marginal at best. It's like all of a sudden, none of the Yankees can play, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I work in the clubhouse, and they go, you're on, let's go, you got it, you got the game.
Yeah, it's like all of the team was gone, and they had to go up and get a hot dog vendor to do it.
And you're like, I don't know how to play baseball. They go, don't worry, just stand on the mound, throw the ball. It's gonna work out. You're gonna be fine. And you're like, no, this is a train wreck. We're gonna have.
I saw something I hadn't seen in like 10 years, and they're like, so I see online, I just want to make sure because it seems like you drink a lot more than you used to. And I was like, yes, I do, because I have children.
Yeah, I don't. It's not by choice at this point. That's not true. I mean, I actually drank more before I had kids. In one weird way, the kids kind of slowed me down to a degree.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, until the pandemic, but then the pandemic took.
Oh, okay. You take that factor out, and I didn't understand. I was like, how did that?
No. Before the pandemic, before the pandemic, I was busy. I was doing a bunch of stuff, and then the pandemic hit, and then I was like, well, I don't have to be anywhere tomorrow, so yeah, why don't we fire this up?
I mean, pre-pandemic, I was working as a federal process server in New York State, and that job, even though I was getting threatened with guns and violence regularly, was an easier job than parenting my children.
I mean, did you have any preparation for that job? Tell people really quick what that job is. So you serve people papers when they are being sued or when they're...
And my cases were all Supreme Court cases. So these are cases that have gone on a really long time, or have escalated to a point that the Supreme Court had to get involved.
Wow.
So one of my cases, probably one of the most violent, the dude had driven his car through the front of a Subway restaurant. And he had got out of the vehicle and attacked the workers.
All right. I hate to interrupt, but it was because honestly, I think a lot of us have felt this way. Was he angry that the crab salad had no crab in it? Was he?
I think he found out it was cuttlefish. Yeah.
Many times I've driven by a Subway and gone, you know what? I'm just going right through. I'm going right through the front window. I'm going to teach people a lesson about how much you should put another slice on there. Don't skimp on my slices. Yeah, terrible.
And the guy, when I went to serve him, kept trying to get me to come around the back of the house, and then he shut off all of the lights. And then I grew up. You've seen where I grew up. I know what a rifle sounds like when it's being cocked from Stewart. And I heard a rifle cock. I was like, all right, he's planning on killing me. So I got out of there and called the cops, and they had to come and arrest him. And
was there a freshly dug hole in the flower bed? If you walk by, and
yard was full of them. Yard was full of holes.
Yeah, that's a guy waiting. He's yeah. I mean, you're reaching out to people at their absolute worst, where they're like, they are on the fence of like how much they want to continue on this journey of life, and you're the guy who's like, hey, your day just got worse, by the way.
I cannot tell you how many times people would just turn their dogs on me. Like I would just get torn up. I went to the ER so many times because of that job.
Is that true?
And what? Yes, 5 times I went to the ER and one turkey attack.
Well, yeah, I know. I've heard the turkey attack, which, by the way, is the greatest story of all time. The fact that you get attacked by turkeys. It is funny because I don't think you've shared as many of your insane stories on this show as I know. Because again,
no, because like you and I talk quite regularly during the day, so then I like tell you, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this time that this happened.
Well, I think comedy's tragedy plus time, and I don't know if enough time has elapsed from some of your stories to then make it funny.
No, I'm still coping with a lot of it, trying to unpack it.
Hey, you know what? We never did our opening title sequence.
No,
which is totally fine. But our pal Eddie Pence is here. And so why don't we bring him in so we can hear some of his stories. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Ralph Report, one of our favorite dad extraordinaire, Eddie Pence. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
We're good. We're
just. I'm a little late to the show. I was actually just at Ralph's recording. Ralph says hi, by the way.
So yeah, have impact.
We gotta have Ralph. Ralph Garman, by the way. If you guys aren't that's a Patreon show.
Yeah.
But the Ralph Report with Eddie is there's Freddie B. He's a huge Ralph Report fan. That show's great, dude. And you guys are just.
Oh, thanks. I think he puts out one free a week on the internet somewhere on the Apple Podcast or whatever. I think so. You can get one free a week.
Claire Kramer's supposed to be here too, but she has 4 kids, so we never.
Oh,
we never know. Yeah.
No,
she's like, yeah, we'll be there. She's like, I'll be there at 7. I'm like, okay, Claire, good luck with that. We'll see how that.
That's always a soft no.
Hey, so here's the question, and you have an older son, so here's the question.
Yeah.
At what age is parenting the hardest? I think you'll be surprised by the answer.
Oh my God. Well, I have a newly christened 13-year-old, so I can't really comment on the teen years yet. To me, the hardest year was either that first 6 months when you're trying to adjust to no sleep anymore, or that not the terrible 2s, but 3. 3 was worse than 2. 3 is the nightmare year.
We call our twins 3-nagers because I mean they are just.
3 was a nightmare,
dude. That's a shirt. Why isn't that on our shirt list? 3-nager.
I'll get on it this week.
You ready for the answer? The answer is actually I think it happened during COVID, and which would add some other stuff into it. The answer is 8, which is exactly the age of my kids during COVID. So that's what people are saying. In the midst of COVID, it changed where parents have named age 8 as the most difficult year to parent.
Wow.
I guess it's funny because my daughter is going to be 9 in like 2 weeks, and I'm starting to really like 8. All of a sudden, she's like, that girl don't give a damn. She's like, all of a sudden I see her eating stuff. I go, hey, who told you could do that? She goes, nobody, and just kept walking. And I was like,
right.
Hey,
I can reach it now. It doesn't matter. I don't need you anymore.
That little girl who used to go, hey, could I have a Milano as a snack? I go like, yes. Or I was like, like in the Roman Empire of like, down with her.
Yeah.
But now she helps herself all day long.
We have a Nutella jar, a big giant jar of Nutella on the second shelf that only I could reach. At one point in time, only I could reach it. Tracy's only 5 feet tall. She can't reach it. Colton is now 5'5". And I opened up the cabinet the other day, and I'd always do this thing where every dad, you wake up in the morning, you go just get a spoon of Nutella and put it in your mouth, and you go about your day. It's just what you do to sort of that one little moment of peace. Yeah.
By the way, Eddie, no one else on earth does that. Just so we're clear.
No, it's me.
It's just, honestly,
it's just my moment of happiness.
I think more people are going to start doing that tomorrow. Never thought about it, but now I'm like, yes, that sounds
Dude,
fantastic.
you get up like you're up like you can't sleep. You're up like 5 or 6 in the morning. You just go just a spoon of Nutella just in your mouth. Just makes the day better. It starts the day off.
I
And
do
so I
it
open
with
up
straight up butter.
butter would be good.
You
I
don't.
might try
I
that.
just take a stick and eat it like a Snickers bar.
No. But anyway, I opened up the cabinets the other day. There's another jar because you buy them at Costco. They come in a 2-pack, and we usually keep the other one lower. It's not open because it's got the silver seal thing on it. You have to like really pull the child safety seal. And so there was now both jars were up there, and I'm like, why is there 2 jars of Nutella? I'm like, are they both open? So I opened both up, and they were both opened, and spoonfuls have been taken out of both of them. So I'm like, who opened up the other Nutella and called? Like, oh, that one's for me.
Oh,
He just claimed
owned his own
jar
Nutella.
of Nutella. He's got his own Nutella now.
Did it have his name in magic marker on the lid?
It has his saliva in it with a spoon because the other one was just mine, and now he's got his.
That happened to us recently. I came into my fridge and I realized that my son had gone in and he put tape and he'd written his name in like it looks like when Andy wrote his name on Buzz and Woody and thing, he's written Jason, all of the things. And I said, Jace, why did you label all of this food? And he's like, because somebody here doesn't understand portion. And he pointed to me. And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, he's fat
He sassed you.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you, though, how are you good with portions or not so much?
I'm not bad about it, but apparently he disagreed. I mean, I didn't think so.
I just ate a whole pizza, so I really can't. I can't say anything to anybody. I'm part.
Portion is all perspective.
It is part. So my kids, I asked them to put the dishes. I said, empty the dishwasher and put the dishes away or something. So they stacked all the dishes on the counter, and I was like, you couldn't put them in the cupboard. They were like, we can't reach the cupboard. We can't. We're too short. We can't reach the cupboard. And so the next day, I put the Nutella on the very top shelf. And sure enough, they had no problem getting the Nutella down. They're like, oh no. Oh, we figured it out. We couldn't. But yeah. So
Yeah. It's a matter of want.
yeah, exactly right. So, hey, we have our guest mom in for tonight. So we love this woman. She's part of Never Thought I'd Say This podcast. And she is a licensed therapist.
Which we need.
Which honestly we all need. So let's bring in our friend and mom Celia Behar.
Hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
It looks like you're sitting in the bathroom.
I'm not. I'm in my bedroom, but I was trying to like make it so that it was like a nicer atmosphere, but
It's
not
the only adult-looking room out of the 4.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just needed to be not where my children were. That's pretty. Who am I
It's
kidding?
really all.
That is the eternal puzzle for the people involved in this show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I have like, I'm trying to use a ring light because I was like, oh, I could even like, I have one of those. Oh, look, that's a
See,
little better.
now you're lit well. You're lit well.
There
Hey,
we
did
go.
you watch? Did you see a couple minutes ago? We were talking about. I'm asking you, what is the hardest age to parent?
God, I mean, all of them. I think 3 is really hard.
What I said. That's what we all said.
Yeah, 3 is really tough. But I also, but I'm also in teen years, so I don't know what's coming. My oldest one definitely went through some stuff at 12, 13, where
That's right where Eddie is right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting right
that's
there.
like a lot. Oh my gosh, she sent me a TikTok, which I guess her dad must have sent her, which I'll find. I sent it to my friend Jody. And it kind of sums up, and I think it's really great from a dad perspective. Like, you kind of just don't know at that age, like, what you're going to get. I mean, now she's almost 16 and she's delightful. She made dinner. She's amazing. No big deal. But like, and who knows what'll happen when she gets a car. Maybe she'll be like setting things on fire and, I don't know, egging my house.
I think boys are worse when they get their cars for some reason. Is that wrong?
My sister was way worse with hers. Like she was destroying property and people, and I did
I
none
I
of
went
it.
right through a stop sign. Like, I'm going to say I had my license like a month and I smashed into a car. I think I It's still like it's a mystery as to how I survived those years.
I got pulled over within like a day of having it for missing a stop sign also, and then told my stepdad, but I was like, I didn't get a ticket, and like, please don't tell mom. And he's like, yeah, you can tell me. And I told him, and of course, like 20 minutes later, she's like, you're grounded. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's how this is gonna work, stepdad. Cool. Like, like, see if I tell you anything ever again.
Stitches, stepdad.
Have you guys seen this yet? Sorry, excuse what I call my best friend. If you can see the thing on there, don't just ignore what I have her down as. Have you guys seen this yet?
No, who is that?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I'll. Let me see if
no.
Come on, hold on. Here.
We're watching TikToks on video. I love this.
I think it's better. Shut the fuck up! Positive energy. I think it's better.
Okay, so I'm at 8. By the way, the worst age was 8 is what it said. But I agree with you. I think 3 is the absolute worst.
Yeah.
What was the jingle they used for it, Jamie?
What was the jingle for 8?
For 8.
Hateful Eights.
Hateful Eight. That's it.
It's called the Hateful Eights, which I thought was, I think, and I still think that's why it's called the Terrible Twos, because terrible doesn't rhyme with 3. But everyone I've talked to, I've always was like 3 would be way worse than 2.
I
3 by
totally
far.
agree. Wait, who said 8? I'm confused.
Wait, who just it's this thing I read. It said in the midst of COVID and social distancing, parenting challenges have never been more apparent. Forget the terrible 2s and prepare for the hateful 8s. I think it was also because, like, when they were in high school, you could let them kind of homeschool by themselves, but at 8, that was like 2nd grade, and you needed constant supervision to like became a teacher. It was awful when I
I mean that's how old my youngest was 8.
Yeah.
When but I have to be honest, like we went into lockdown when she was 8, and I gotta be honest, I was like, world's ending, don't care what you do, like it doesn't matter, like
I was the opposite. I took 2 desks from the school, spread them out. I printed out their schedules every day. I stayed on top of them. And honestly, I don't think they got anything out of it either. So I don't know what happened.
And mine graduated with all A's. She's culminated all A's. She's gifted and talented and going into, a magnet school for robotics. So just saying.
It just shows you that parenting has nothing to do with it. Like, we've talked about this before, where it's like some kid who grows up in an orphanage, like tormented, becomes like unbelievably super successful. And somebody with the most loving parents and rich parents is like, turns out to be the worst kid ever. It's
just all random, right? It's just all random chaos.
You can set them on the right path, but
I think privilege obviously has a lot to do with it. I remember when I was in grad school having to take vocational counseling, and our vocational teacher was like, the fastest way to ruin a kid is to give them a trust fund. And I will tell you, in my experience with people I know who grew up with trust funds, that is correct.
I couldn't agree more. But as an adult, I wish I was a trust fund kid. I really would love.
Yeah, of course. Me too.
Hey, I didn't play it tonight. Did you guys play the lottery?
No, I never played.
My wife bought a ticket.
It's 900 million. It's almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
I used to do a joke about the lottery too. Like, it always blows my mind because people only, like, everyone talks about it and plays it when it's $900 million, but the normal lottery is like 10 or 15 million, and everyone's like, I couldn't be bothered for that.
My wife Tracy won't drop $1 to win $25 million. She won't do it.
Right.
I'm like, well, just play it now. $25 million. She's like, no, it's not worth it.
She's like, I got plans. Here's the blueprints. I need 900 million to get this stuff done.
It's not worth the dollar gamble.
Well, the joke is, the truth is $2,000 would change everyone's life in this country, pretty much. That's about it. But they were fighting for that $900 million. It's great. And one person's going to win it. I worked from home and did the virtual learning for both of my daughters, 9 and 6 at the time. Not sure if I lived or if I'm imagining all this from my padded cell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That would be a great movie. What was the one? Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
So Tim Robbins he's actually, I think, dead or dying. And the whole movie is a flashback or something of his life in a crazy way. It would be funny to have like a parenting film, and then towards the end, it just cuts back and the guy's in like a padded cell, and he imagined the whole.
What is the one, Eddie, with the 4 girls and they're actually in a mental institution, but they keep imagining.
Oh, the New Mutant, not
Angelina
the.
Jolie.
No, it's Vanessa Hudgens, and I forget who Jenna Malone, and I forget who the other ones are. And
Oh.
Carla Gugino is in it as well.
It's I know what you're talking about.
But they're actually in a mental institution.
It's called. It's got Sucker Punch or something. Is that
Sucker
right?
Punch. That's
Sucker
it.
Punch. Yeah, that's right.
No.
Yeah, they lobotomize her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sucker
Funny,
Punch.
That's what's actually happening to me right now.
I saw that movie and I had no idea. I had no idea what the premise was until right this second. I had no idea what happened to Sucker Punch until just now. Now I know.
Really? Are you kidding?
No, I didn't. I watched some of it, but I was like, I have no idea what's happening.
Well, it's not the first time we've spoiled movies on this show.
I mean,
You can't really spoil that movie.
You know, here's one of my favorite parenting ones is the one with Nicolas Cage, where he goes back with Taya Leone. It's a Christmas movie, The Family Man.
Oh yeah, the Weatherman, Family Man, or Weatherman, or something like that.
No,
Family Man.
Family.
Weatherman?
I want to see Family Man. Is that right, everybody?
I don't
It's
know.
a Family Stone. You're in it.
He's like a super rich Wall Street dude, and then he wakes up like whatever the golden ticket is, and he works in a tire store, and he's married to Taya Leone, and they have 2 kids. Do you remember? You know the movie? Celia.
I know the movie.
I don't know. I don't know that movie at all. I love Home for the Holidays is like one of my favorite family movies. Have you seen
Is that the Vince Vaughn one with Reese Witherspoon?
No, that's
Oh, that's 4 Christmases.
This is Holly Hunter and Robert Downey Jr. and Anne Bancroft. It's a really sort of underrated, flies under the radar movie. I think Steve Guttenberg's in it also, I want to say. Like, it's one of the funniest holiday movies and really kind of sums up family and how dysfunctional it is.
That's funny.
Family Man, someone says. Wait, you guys were talking about like food and dumb things that your kids do with food as well. I heard some sort of Nutella situation and
Oh yeah.
Yes.
all that stuff. You know, on Jody and I like to post things that we find in our fridge that our kids leave or around our house. We just call it WTF Sundays, where we just post like ridiculous things that we find. Like, this is a good one. This was back in the fridge. You see
Just
that?
the empty carton.
Yeah, it's just empty, no cap on. I mean, like, I don't understand who's raising them a lot of the time, that like that's what happens. I found one day I sent her a text and I said, would you like to guess what this I said hit me with your best shot, and I sent her this picture of that, and she writes back and she goes, is that a piece of cheese? I said, well, yes it is. Would you like to guess where? She says, in the hallway, bathroom. And I said, bathroom. You got it on the second try. And she's like, that's disgusting. I said, well, in their defense, it was Parmesan, and Parmesan goes on everything. So it's really fine.
We kept finding pieces of tacos in our bathroom for a while, and we never really understood when that was happening. The other thing that happened this weekend, we had gone grocery shopping. My wife and I were going to have dessert. We came in, went to get Cool Whip out of the fridge, could not find it. Looked all over. The next day, my wife saw our eldest duck behind the couch, and he had taken it out of the fridge and left it out overnight and was going to finish eating it. And I was like, oh, no. This is a great time to do a little lesson about the shelf life of dairy. And so, yeah, he had hit it overnight. Thank God we stopped him before he got it. But
so my oldest daughter, Harper, made steak tonight. She made really very good steak. And my youngest one doesn't like any sort of fat. She's like a big deal, but Harper really likes it. And so at one point, I just see Harper starts going, hey, Lulu, and is pointing at her, because Lulu, who is almost 11, is just like chopping at it with her hands. And Harper's like, I gave you a fork. And she's like, yeah, but and then she puts it in her mouth completely, decides there's too much fat on it, puts it back on her plate, and then near the end of the meal just turns to Harper, because Harper likes the fat on the steak, and she's like, here, eat this one. This was in my mouth. Eat this one. I'm like, why?
I can't.
Harper didn't do it, but I think she thought about it. Like, I think she contemplated it. I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, these are 2 girls, and they are over the age of 3. Why are you chewing things and spitting them out like some sort of bird? What? Oh yeah.
Jobo says, difference between me and you, Jason. I let kids learn the hard way. Once he ate it, I would have been like, gonna find out why we don't do that. I told you, so Hannah lately, we were going to do something and she didn't want to go. And I said, Hannah, please, you know me. I'm pretty fun. Have I ever let you down before? And she said, she goes, wow, that was that one time you had me eat that radish. And I go, you got me. Yeah, I messed you up with the radish. But, they don't trust me anymore. All right. Hey, listen, I have a question here. Here was the thing I wanted to talk about. A therapist shares the 7 biggest parenting mistakes that destroy kids' mental strength. And I figured we'd do this with Celia because we have a real therapist here. Number 1, minimizing your kids' feelings.
Yeah.
Oh, Celia's nodding. Yeah. What do you mean minimizing? Like telling them, who cares what you think? Just
not even just that, but if they're like crying, to be like, it's not a big deal, get over it, just let it go, it's okay, without really hearing them out and validating like, wow, that must have been frustrating, I'm so sorry that your feelings got hurt. Or if they're mad at you even, where you're like, a lot of parents will shut it down. I'm a parent and I said so I really don't care what you think. You should let them have their say. And then
if we let them have their say every time they get upset, I mean, that's 27 hours of the day. There's not enough time in the day for my daughter to explain why she's angry that Hannah got one more blueberry than her, or why she has to do the silverware in addition to the bowls. It's like every day is like,
that's fine. But then all you have to do is say, I hear that you're upset, and I'm sure that's very frustrating. This is how it is. It's more of a like, don't shut it down.
Just
to be like, don't
saying that you hear them.
Yeah, that's all kids actually want.
And then shutting them down by like going, yeah,
exactly.
So I should stop telling Jason he's being a PUSS. Just stop.
Then my shirt is absolutely on point because every time they go, it's not fair, I go, hey, life's not fair. Get used to it. And so you're telling me that's the wrong response to my children that I say every day.
Yes and no. Do it in a little bit more tricky way. Like be like, yes, you're right. It's not fair. And that's very frustrating. We've all had to learn that lesson, but that is the case. Life is not fair. Like
a lot of times they'll say it and then they'll go, it's not fair. And I go, you know what's not fair? Me having to listen to you talk about how not fair it is because I don't care. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's probably not going to suit you well later. I don't know. You have a therapy jar. Just like put some money in whenever you do that, like a quarter. That goes.
Again,
that's going to be better than I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah,
like I used to get. That's what I used to get.
I did too.
You want to cry about?
Yeah. You're gonna.
Hey, that's how I talk to my son. So far, not terrible. Thank you, Jobo. Thank you. Come
on. Wait, Jobo, how old is your son again?
45.
It's Will Ferrell from Wedding Crashers. That's what Jobo's raising.
What's this? Look at Kyle Vin the CV. Kyle. This like a vanity plate I got to figure out. KY Levin the CV.
Oh, it's Kyle V in the CV.
No, that makes more sense. Super interesting.
41-year-old,
13-year-old daughter. Oof, I haven't come across these parental techniques. All right. So minimizing your child's feelings is not it's not the way to good parenting. I could probably be better at that, about going, I understand how you feel. But again, life is not fair. I'll do it that way next time.
There's trauma on this list.
Think about it when it's like, if you're having big feelings about something to anybody, and if you're telling them and the person's like, get over it, you're fine. You feel like you don't feel good.
That's my wife. Yes, that's exactly how my life works out, and that's what my wife says to me all the time.
Well, and do you like it? No, you don't. So that's
I don't. Honestly, I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all.
Right.
Oh, Jake's off to Breezy Point. Tell him I said hi, buddy. I love it. At the what's the name of the bar there? The crazy Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl. Got it. I'm not here to criticize. I just like really hearing. Oh, good. No, there's no criticizing here. Listen, we're criticizing ourselves most of the time on this show. That's how we do it.
Right.
Again, I will remind everyone who's just tuning in. This is called Parental Mental Health Tuesdays, where what we're doing is letting you know you're not alone in this journey, and that we are all suffering together. It takes a village,
yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Here's the second one. Always saving them from failure. this I see a lot of happening.
Yeah. You got to let them fail. I mean, I'm not sure if Jobo's right that you should have let him eat the, Cool Whip or anything, Jason, because then you'd probably have to clean up the barf, and then there's the whole urgent care situation with food poisoning.
I don't want to have that discussion with the ER. I don't want to do that.
Right. That's a DCFS call waiting to happen, most likely. Yeah. No, I agree with that. But I do think there's something to be said. I mean, because I will tell you, like, and I think this happens with younger kids, right? Like, I let my older kid fail all the time. And with the younger one, I'm always like, oh, I'll help you do it. I'll help you do it. I'll help you do it. And that, because to me, she's still the baby. And so my older one constantly calls me out where she's like, Mom, I was doing like 5,000 times more than she was at this point. Who cares if she breaks something, you got to let her learn. And she broke a glass the other day when she was washing the dishes. She also broke a glass once and got stitches because of it. And then I was like, oh, see, that backfired. But you do have to let them fail. How do you learn?
Funny. My daughter tonight was the first time she didn't ask, and all of a sudden she had cut a peach up with a knife, and I was like, "Who did you ask anyone to cut that?" And she was like, "No," and she just walked away. And I was like, "So I'm waiting to go to the emergency room one day because they do have to learn the hard way about like." We've all done it with knives. You're like, "Oh, this is fine." I go.
How old is she?
She's 8.
Yeah, she'd be. I mean, was it like a?
Yeah, we let her. She comes and asks, but we were talking earlier about the fact that 8 is the age where they stop asking. Like all of a sudden, I saw her. She was eating Jell-O, and I 2 months ago, she would have come in and go, "Hey, can I get a Jell-O?" And I go, "Absolutely, help yourself." But now I just saw her eating the Jell-O, and I was like, "Did you ask your mother if you could have Jell-O?" She goes, "No," and then she just walked away and was eating, and I was like. Okay, I guess we're at that age. I don't know what's happening anymore.
It's better when they revert back to later on. Like Lulu will be like, "I'm starving," and I'm like, "Why didn't you eat anything?" She's like, "I don't know what I'm allowed to eat here."
That's funny, actually.
I'm like, "You do."
Here's the thing for me. I feel like my kids already have to go through life knowing I'm their father. Haven't they suffered enough?
Eddie, have you let Colton fail?
I try to as much as possible. I
think it's important. To make sure I actually go out of my way to make sure he fails. Like if he has a big test,
I think it's helpful.
Yeah,
because life is
great.
Life is 90% failing, right? I mean, that's pretty much what life is failing and then moving on from the failure. The problem is he's such a smart kid; he doesn't fail a lot. So I have to figure out ways to make almost set him up to fail, just sort of like he doesn't he's not a great athlete, so he'll play sports and he knows he's not one of the better kids on the team, right? But I still keep putting him out there. I'm like, keep trying. You have to keep trying. And he'll get upset and frustrated. I'm like, you keep doing it, dude. Just keep doing it. He's like, but I'm not getting any better. I'm like, just keep going. You're going to fail. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. And then one game last season, he got player of the game. Eventually it'll keep going. Eventually you'll stumble into a good lesson at some point. Like I was like, buddy, you got that because you failed all those times at this sport, and then you finally got through.
So your son's become Rudy, is what you're telling us. He's Rudy.
He's
Rudy at this point.
He's absolutely.
He went to practice for 4 years, had several concussions, had the sweet Jesus knocked out of him to play 17
one
seconds.
Phenomenal play in one game.
In one game against a terrible opponent. And then
it was.
He makes a movie about it. Here's my argument.
Season.
If the kid says I'm not good at this, I would watch Rudy, and then at the end I go, man, you could have learned an instrument, you could have learned a second language, you could have taken a painting class, all these things you could have done instead of getting your ass kicked at practice for 4 years to play 7. To me, Rudy is the ultimate failure. It's so sad.
You wanted to do it.
One ain't got nothing to do with it, baby. At some point,
what are you good at? Do that.
At some point, do what you do. It's like, listen, I got the broken toilet, which is still broken. I posted a video hoping someone would go, dude, I'm coming over to help you.
Wait, I thought a guy was coming to fix that.
Somebody get over here and fix that GD toilet because the valve's leaking that goes, it won't, I can't stop the water from going into the toilet, and then that seal's broken, so it's just constantly running. So I had to try to shut it off. So now I have to change 2 valves. And at some point you're like, I have changed the back of a toilet out and I've changed a valve here or there, but at some point it's like, it's not what I do. I don't do it. It's not what I do.
Right. So you call a plumber, but I think, isn't it better? I don't know. I teach my kids there's no such thing as failing unless you like fail a class, because you learn something from it, and it's better to just know that like you learned a lesson one way or the other, and you're going to take that into life and put it in wherever you're going to, deal with that.
But you learned to fail at that particular subject.
I've actually gotten pretty good at it.
I'm really good at failing. I agree. And
I just look back. I played Pop Warner football. I don't know why. I don't know. It was one of those things of like football players were revered as like the cool guys or whatever. So I was like, I gotta play football. I didn't love football. Football was fine. It was fine. I played football for a season or two. And then years later, I was like, football is one of those sports where it's not going with the rest of your life. It's after high school, it's over. That's the end of football. There's not. Right. You might have that pickup game the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in your hometown when you come back and everyone's drunk. But aside from that, colossal waste of time. It's I could have learned an instrument. I could have done so many other things.
You didn't want to. I mean, like, then if you really had wanted to do that, you would have. I mean, I wanted to be a dancer, like, so bad. And my mom really wanted me to be a dancer, and I took dance forever. And my mom would lie to me and be like, you're really good. They just don't cast you for whatever reason. And, you don't get the solo. And I went to college and I had, I got a degree in theater. And then I was going for a dance minor, and I got all the way to junior year, and I got called into the dance office from like the dance instructors. And they were like, we were looking at your transcript and it looks like you got almost enough classes to get a dance minor. I said, yeah, that's what I want. And they were like, yeah, we don't really want you to do that. I was like, what? And they basically were like, we don't want the college's name on your transcript as being a dance minor. Wow. They didn't want me representing that. And that's when I sort of knew for sure I was a really crappy dancer.
Jobo gets it. You find what you're good at, and then you do that. That's exactly what you do.
Right.
So were you in the room like, I'm so confused. My mother tells me I'm a wonderful dancer. I don't understand.
No, I mean, I was disappointed. Like, I just was like, oh, I'm like that bad. Oh, okay.
I haven't watched it in years, but the first couple seasons of American Idol, they always had those people in the line, and the mother was like, you're such a good singer. Oh, my God. When I hear you sing, it's like angels come down and pat me on the head. I love hearing you sing. And then they go in, and they're like, oh, and you're like, oh, my God. But the parent really keeps telling them that they're wonderful. And at some point, you're not like the line is they're always saving them from failure. You're setting that kid up for failure, right? By telling them that they're
you created a delusion, and then now you're feeding it.
Create the delusion of like. So sometimes I told you my kids came in with artwork, right? And she goes, "Hey, sometimes it's amazing," and I go, "Oh my gosh, I really like this. I like the composition." And sometimes they'll come in and they go, "Look what I did," and I go, "That's terrible. You could really put more effort into that." Like it was like a stick figure, and I go, I guess I get it. I go, how much time did you spend on that? She's like, well, a few minutes. I go, yeah, it shows. You didn't put the effort in. I go, look at all empty white space up here. Fill that, or at least.
But that's the thing is, you can be constructive with your kid and not comment on how well they do something, but go, you can always control your effort. Effort's something you can control.
Right.
That's the one thing you have control over, not your talent. Not how good anybody else is, but how hard you try to do something. And that's what I try to tell my kids. Like, you can't control anything else but your effort.
Right. But my kids, they don't put any effort in. They don't put any effort in, and then they want you to tell them how great it is. And you're like, Alice, sometimes I go, all right, I've seen better.
Well, I will say this. I'm not a good dancer, but I enjoyed all the dance classes that I took. And I'm really, really great at yoga, and because it did give me really good balance. Plus, my sister and I once went and took a Pilates class together when we were adults, and she knew what a terrible dancer I was. And the teacher, because I'm so like aligned because of all the dance, said something like, do you like, are you a dancer? And I just in all dead honesty, like looked at her and I was like, yes, I am. And my sister like fell off the Pilates machine laughing. And I was like, she's not. Because she knows how bad I am. And yes, Carl, this is why I became a therapist, because my mom is insane. Yes.
My daughter will do one. She'll do something once. And then I'll overhear her talking to another kid. And she'll be like, I'm a pro at that. Like she'll literally use the word pro. Like I'm a pro. I'm a pro at that. Like we had her skateboard. She went down the driveway once or something. And she's like, I got that. I'm a pro skateboarder. And I was like, I don't know. I tend to use the words, you're on the right track. That's great. Dude, That's a T-shirt too. We got to get narcolepsy on the show.
That's
You're on the
cute.
right track.
Hey, Narcolepsy, how did you find us? Well, welcome.
No, dude.
How
How
did you get
did,
here?
how did you find us? I love that.
We've got a lot of new people coming in, so it's
I love that. You know what? That's that's kind of a genius line. You're on the right track. I think it does show like when my kids put the effort into something they want to do, like make slime or even something sillier. They've been making movies with their iPads lately, which is driving me crazy, but also making me laugh so hard. But I think you're on the right track. Keep going down that path. I think that's pretty cool.
That's very cute.
Oh, Mulligan, and she's not here today. So Mulligan couldn't make it tonight. She's on the road with her family and stuff. And I think they're at a park. I want to say they're at an amusement park today or something.
Oh gosh. Well,
she came in for Brett and Kate's play date show.
Oh, that's awesome. Mulligan will be back next week. That's so great. We love her. All right. So always saving them from failure. It's funny, Eddie. Did you have something when you were a kid that you were either saved from failure or were you even driven down where they're like, no, you're terrible?
No, I mean, I was such a latchkey kid because both my parents worked full time that they were good parents that gave me everything I want. I didn't ever want for anything, but at the same time, I was never like encouraged to try different things. And if I wanted to not do something, they would be like, okay. Like they were there when they were there, but like they were not like,
right.
Like super, like you should play this. Oh no, keep trying, keep doing that. They never let me fail, but at the same time, they never encouraged me to do anything. I was truly a latchkey kid. I was just on my own with my brother in our house.
yeah, same with me and my sister.
You got to read this, Narcolepsy 27. The best teacher I ever had always used those words, which was, you're on the right track, right? You're on the right track. And I always stuck with me because he never told anyone they were wrong, which it stuck with me when I just read that. I was like, they were literally learning. You're on the right track. So whatever you're working on, you're on the right track, unless you're wasting time at Pop Warner football and then go learn a language or take a photography class.
You're learning
Don't
teamwork.
become a dancer if you're a terrible one.
The American Idol ones. I mean, it's almost abuse to bring when they would bring the kids on and go like, "You're such a good singer."
I know, you never knew when you were going to be set up on that show because you're like, either they're going to be amazing or they're going to be so bad. That's like if my mom had brought me to like, so you think you can dance, and she would be like, she's wait till you see her, and then I look like one of those like wild wacky things that are outside of the car things.
That's the problem with all those shows. Like with I don't know if Jamie had this, but like with Last Comic Standing, you were afraid to do it because you signed that piece of paper, and then they can edit it however they want and make you look however they want you to look.
Some of our friends got destroyed on that show. I never did that show because I was offended that stand-up was considered a competition. I always considered it an art form, and so it bothered me that they were like, because you can both be brilliantly genius comics, George Carlin versus Richard Pryor, but they are night and day away from what they do, and it becomes becomes a who's the favorite of the audience. All right, here's another one. Overindulging your kids. Do you guys overindulge? I mean, we do. I don't
look at the Legos. Look at the Legos behind me.
Yeah.
I'm
guilty of this, especially after, the twins were born and Melissa had the stroke. And so Jace at 3 told our pediatrician that the twins made mommy sick. And so I overcompensated we spoiled him rotten trying to right that wrong that he felt the way he did. And I unfortunately have just now started to see how badly we messed that up. And we're trying to course correct at this point because it was, I felt so terrible that we had altered his life so to that place. And so I just tried to, I overdid it by a lot. And so we took him more places than we probably should have. We bought him more stuff than we probably should have. And we are still paying for it. Now it's better than it was, but it's once you've taken him down that path, it's hard to rewrite that.
It's hard. Yeah. We had a nanny for the first few years because we were both working a lot, and the kids got used to, and I would tell the nanny, I go like, make sure they pick up after themselves. She's like, yeah. Because as we all know, it would take me 30 seconds to pick up the room, but it would take me 42 minutes to get them to pick up the room. At some point, you're like, well, I'll just do it myself. And that's what happened. So she was doing it for the first few years. So then when we let the nanny go and I was home more so taking care of the kids, they were like, I'm sorry, you want me to do what? Like they were. I'm so confused. Today even, she had the Jell-O. She peels the thing off. The trash can is right here. She put it on the counter next, like almost out of your, it was almost easier to put it in the trash can. And so I yell in the other room, Hannah, and she's like, I'm in the middle of something. I'm building a robot. No, I don't know what the kid's doing. She's doing some crazy crap in her room. So I go, get out here. She goes, it's going to be a few minutes. I'm in the middle of something. No, you're 8. You're not in the middle of anything. Get your ass out here. And so I dragged her out and I said, I was that, what is that? Because I do it all the time, thinking that eventually they'll go, you know what, maybe I should just do this the first time. And then she threw it out. But it took me, I could have done it myself in 5 seconds, but it took me 4 minutes to get her to come do it. And did anyone learn a lesson? I don't know.
No. My kid's 13. I've been doing it since he was 6. Our coffee table moonlights as a dining table and a trash can.
It's crazy.
And he eats there, and then he leaves the garbage there, and then I'm like, how many times?
Every night, I'm like, put the wet towel on the back of just hook it on the back of the door. What are you doing? What are you doing? You kill every day.
That's why you got to make them come back out and do it themselves, though, so that they.
Which I do every day. I do that.
Very crazy making, but I do think it works.
I have 24 hours in the day. That's 4.5 minutes every day. Maybe sometimes twice a day if they took 2 showers. It's like that's the day. And
how do you change the behavior? I mean, none of us are really into negative reinforcement, right? It's you get to positive reinforcement, correct? Because by just going every day doing repeating the same pattern, all you're doing is training them to repeat that same pattern every day, right? You're not teaching them to do something new. They're just waiting for you to go, hey, come in here and do this right, and then they go in there and they do it.
What if, Celia? What if one day I just go, all right, if this happens again, I'm going to take that toy, your favorite toy, and I'm going to smash it into pieces and throw it in the trash can. That's it. I'm not going to, and I've done, I say these now where I do this a lot where I go, that's it. I'm not going to say this again. And then I disappear like it's Homer Simpson.
Yeah. I take things away.
I end up saying it again 3 hours later, by the way. So there's no.
Right. I mean, my kids have set chores they have to do. And the little one inevitably every morning forgets hers. And 3 hours after she's supposed to do it, I yell, did you do your, hers is scooping the kitty litter. And I'm like, did it happen this morning? She's been up for 3 hours. I'm like, did you scoop the kitty litter? And she's like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the cat pooped next to the litter box because of that. So now you get to clean up poop. And then she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm sorry for you because I'm not cleaning up the poop. You're cleaning up the poop. Congratulations. I mean, there is something of natural consequences that do start to kick in, but I take things away from my kids. I mean, the older one, I don't really have to as much anymore, but the younger one and I were talking about it the other day, and she was saying how she feels like it's helpful when she knows that there's, not a reward per se, but she's learning now that when she's done with something, that's the reward on her own. If she finishes the work, if she does the chore, she can go and relax, and I'm not going to be down her throat asking her to do stuff. And so she's sort of learning, if I just do it, you won't be mad at me, and then I can actually do what I want. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's how that works. And she's like, oh.
Well, it clicked. It finally clicked.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, that's how we learn at jobs, right? I always say to her, both of them, it's listen, you're going to go to work. And if your boss is like, hey, you got to get this project done. And you're like, I don't wanna, it's like you're going to get fired. You finish it, you get the reward of hey, you did a good job, or you have to fix it or whatever. It's a natural consequence sort of situation. I do
now,
think straight away.
They've changed so much, because when I was a kid, they were like, hey, do the job or you're fired. Now they say, do the job. And then that person goes to HR and goes, my boss made me feel really uncomfortable about what he said. He said, it's like nowadays my wife tells me about the corporate world, and HR is there are certain things you cannot say to employees anymore. Like it's so kid gloves woke in a way where they're like that old school of like, hey man, I'm paying you to do a job. Do the job or you're fired. I don't know what to, it's like the guys in the NBA always, that's my favorite. If those guys complain and go, I was disrespected. Oh, when the guy wrote the check for $56 million to you for a year's work, for like 5 months work, that he offended you somehow because you only have 12 points and 3 boards for $56 million for the year. And you're offended by the fact that you weren't offended when you missed a couple weeks, from something, but you're offended.
Well, I think things had to obviously change because it's not even across the board, like that was the problem. I mean, I remember coming up when I worked at Showtime, I will not say who said these things to me, but I had bosses that, I remember once saying I was like, hey, is it all right if my boss came over to me and he said, I'm leaving early today. And I said, it was Rosh Hashanah. I said, are you Jewish? And he went, no, and pointed at his nose. And I was like, I am. And he was like, I thought you were Spanish. And I said, I'm that too. And I was like, wow, that's a call to HR. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And
but
then
that's that's like a legitimate.
That's what I'm saying. You had to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just an overcorrection. Is all we've done is we just
legitimate complaint.
Right.
I'm talking about nowadays.
The boss said, you got to rush. It's Rosh Hashanah, so you got to rush a homa. And I was like,
people will like, take a picture like, oh my God, what happened to the guy? Yeah, whatever. Like it's so minimal where people like, you made me feel uncomfortable because you asked me to finish work on the, you gave me a project with only 2 hours left in the day. And I didn't feel like I got accomplishment and I felt uncomfortable and file complaints all the time. They get interviewed and they were like, I don't think the interviewer really respected my place. And so I'm reporting it to 8. I mean, that's what they're doing now. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, it's a lot of overcorrecting, but hopefully it'll, even out. But even so, there's still going to be natural consequences.
I mean, my daughter called social services the other day and complained about me. We got some real problems over here.
Which daughter?
Both, and my wife. My wife made a call too. The 3 of them were it was a speakerphone, and they all
conference call.
It was Festivus. They aired their grievances. It got ugly quickly.
We have a whole part of our show called the airing of grievances.
We should do that. So overindulging your kids, I think we're all guilty. So far, I'm guilty of minimizing my kids' feelings. Always saving them from failure. I do in a way. I think I try to the best I can because when my kids fail, it hurts me so much inside that it bothers me. So I'm 0 for 3 at this point. Here's number 4. This one I don't think I'm guilty of. Expecting perfection.
I'm guilty of that. That's me.
All four of us like, no, I don't expect.
Oh no, I'm more. That's probably the one I'm most guilty of. To the point where my kids are like, really, do you really want me to fold my laundry? Because I know you're just going to unfold it and fold it again because I didn't do it the way you wanted to. I'm like, oh, right. I am going to do that. So yeah, they're like, you were, I mean, I like beds made a certain way and pillows a certain way. And I like the remotes lined up and they're always like, wow, mom, what if we leave it like this? What if it's sideways? What'll happen, mom? What'll happen? I'm like, the whole world explodes. I don't know. I just want it to be done perfectly. And they're like, that you should do it. Like, which they've also realized my OCD gets them out of things because they're like, we're just not going to be able to do it like you. So we'll leave that to you. And
as a husband, it's gotten me out of a lot of work by doing that. Like, oh, I can't do it the way you want it. That's you.
It is. I mean, that's early in every relationship. Guys deliberately destroy something in my wife's wash. And then she goes, I'll do it myself. Oh, if you're sure, I guess. Are you sure? And then you're like, so then you never do the laundry again. I never. We don't mix laundry at all. Our laundry's totally separate. Bank accounts merged. Laundry totally separate. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally
separate. I actually.
Isn't that weird? Like yeah. She's like, do not touch. Even if she's like, don't even put it in the dryer. Don't. Like if I have to put because she has certain things, and I'm kind of the same way. Like I like to dry things to the point where it's almost dry and then take it out. Like I hate when my clothes get burned and stuff. I know.
I mean, listen, you can fix something. You can transfer money from savings to checking, but you can never, ever make a very nice Free People white shirt like white again once you turn it pink.
True. By the way, if my wife wears white pants to a kid's birthday party one more time, I'm going to tackle her. It's like every time we leave the house, I'm like, this is your choice? I mean, don't get me wrong. They look fantastic. They're great pants. Wouldn't wear them to a kid's birthday party. But
jeans. Wear jeans.
And then sure enough, 3 minutes into the ride, she's like, something falls on. And she's like, I'm like,
I have one pair of white pants. And if my period's late, those are the pants I wear because I know that's what's going to bring it on. If I wear the white pants out in public, done. But
that's your opener joke right there, Celia. When you do stand, that's your opener joke. That's a solid joke.
True story. I wish I could tell you I'm kidding. I'm not. Like I do it in yoga too. And my teacher like Celia's hoping to get her period. She's wearing the white yoga pants today. That's what she's
just making sure. I thought I was pregnant, but I wore my white pants, and turns out I'm just fine. Everything's going on.
All done.
I like it. We could start a whole line of them. Call them summoning pants.
Accepting perfection. I think maybe grade wise, I'm always striving to get your grades up. I guess is that expecting perfection in a way? I don't know.
No. And I think I feel like education and the amount of pressure we put on school and grades and everything is changing now anyway. So I think you do the best you can, but I think you're going to see some big shifts in education in this country anyhow. So.
Here's the next one, making sure they always feel comfortable.
That's a bad thing. Oh, please.
It's a it's a parenting mistake, making sure they're always comfortable.
Like emotionally or
I mean, like safe or like what do you mean comfortable?
Sure comfortable. Like having them sleep on a board or what's happening here? I don't know.
Making sure they always feel comfortable. I don't know. Maybe on a ride or something to make sure they have their iPad and they're wrapped in a blanket. I don't know. Making sure they always feel comfortable.
Like, should I be adding more fabric softener in? Like, define the comfort level we're talking here.
Are you leaving it on them to make themselves comfortable? Like, you get yourself situated. You do that. It's not my job to make sure you have your blanket or whatever.
Maybe it's coddling in a way.
Are you sheltering them or? Nice.
Honestly, Jobo, that is so brilliant. I was thinking the same things. I hide peas under my son's mattress.
I feel I've definitely not made my kids comfortable today. I don't know if anyone saw my story. I think you did, Jason. I also warned you it was happening. My children, especially my oldest daughter, is so wildly uncomfortable from me today because I did part of our show last week. I never thought I'd say this, that drops tomorrow in just pasties. And that is the picture that the producer put up on Instagram. And a bunch of Harper's friends followed. Never thought I'd say this today, her guy friends, because her mom's in pasties. So she's gone through the day going, Mom! And I'm like,
when I saw the picture, I thought it was a photo that somebody had touched in post where you were just topless. And then somebody took that little eraser and like erased little dots over your breasts. I was like, wait, what is happening? And then I read it. I was like, oh, those are pasties. It was so funny.
Here, Jamie won't let me. He says it's offensive.
You what?
Jamie won't let me do the pasties on this show. It's offensive.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't even.
By the way, it comes out tomorrow. Never thought I'd say this with Jody, and it's going to be a super funny one. So definitely, everybody check that out.
It's got a lot of fan stuff in there, but I mean, listen, my kids are uncomfortable with things I do all the time. I don't know. I'm not really sure what that one means. Life is uncomfortable, and I do think that is a big problem in this country. Is that none of us like to feel discomfort. That's why meds are really high. Not that I'm poo-pooing meds because yay for Prozac and everything else. But, I think we don't know how to sit with discomfort. We don't like to feel uncomfortable.
So Susan,
maybe from a kid party, there may be a mean kid at that party. Maybe if that's making them feel comfortable. By the way, Susan, happy birthday. I believe this week was somebody's birthday. She turned 28 this week. Susan did. Yes, Yeah, making them feel. Here's what happened recently: is my daughter always like all of a sudden they snap when they go, like they go from 0 to I'm dying of thirst. Like we were 3 minutes from the house, and my daughter wanted water, and I go, we don't have any water. She goes, you got to get me some water or something or other. And we had water up in the front, but it was my water, and I just filled it, and I didn't want it. You know how they take it and drink it and then spit it back in?
Yes.
Sometimes I can't have it.
I know.
And so listen, if we're on a desert island and that kid's near death, that kid gets my water. There's no two ways about it. I'm a good parent. I'm an okay parent, but we're like 3 minutes from the house, and she is screaming in the back seat that she's dying of thirst. And my wife's like, "Just give her the water." I go, "I'm not giving her my water," and I didn't give her my water. We drove home. She's like, "I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna die." I go, "You're gonna be just fine, Chief."
That is like a huge pet peeve.
Which again, I was not. I was minimizing her feelings, so I'm over like 6 on this.
Oh my
But
god!
I had just filled the water, and I was like, no.
I, honest to God, it's a huge pet peeve of mine. I cannot stand sharing my water.
I don't want to share my water. I didn't share. Thank you, Celia, because I thought I was going to be vilified for.
No, my youngest said to me yesterday, we were lying in bed together watching TV, and she's like, "Mom, can I have some of your water?" And I was like,
No.
"Can you get up and get your own?"
No.
Like, and she's like, "I don't want to go in the kitchen. It's scary in there." And I was like, "Life is scary." I didn't say that, but I should have.
See,
and I
you don't
came
have
to
your
give
feelings.
some, but I'm like, "Oh, my water."
All right, we're way over. I have 2 more, and this is it, and then we'll get out of here. Not setting parent-child boundaries. I'm not really sure.
I'm guilty of that.
What does that mean exactly?
You don't want to overshare with your kid. That's, they don't need to know they don't need to know that much about your life that, there should be boundaries there. I say as the mom that sleeps naked and has yelled at her kids naked on a bunk bed, but there should be better boundaries than what I've done. Clearly.
Well, Eddie, you have your son has no boundaries with you.
No, well, I don't think we made the mistake. We just were very open from the get-go when he was little about discussing everything, and now he literally volunteers all of his trials and tribulations through puberty to us.
Well, I'm pretty sure I know Jason.
No, I was like, dude, you got to pick these up off the floor.
Yeah.
You can't just leave your bedroom littered with these.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what socks are for. That's what tube socks are for.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I demand some more tube socks, Eddie.
Well, we have a communal wash machine because we live in an apartment. I don't want to do that to everybody.
No, that's not
fair. I have a girlfriend who told her son that he had to put a sock on the door and also said the same thing. She was like, "Can you not use the toilet paper? Like, I got tissues. Use those instead because they're wasting things. And I need toilet paper for the bathroom." And I was like, "Oh, good Lord." Like,
well, Eddie, I know this is part of your act, and it's one of my favorite stories ever. And I don't want to hear the whole story, but your son made you take a picture of his butthole.
He was curious what his butthole looked like at one point in his life. And I tried to get him to go, like, "Hey, go look in a mirror. You deal with that." And he at the age, he either didn't have the dexterity or he wasn't limber enough to do it. So he requested I take a picture of his butthole to show him what it looked like.
Okay. Well, what did he think of that?
Well, in reality, it stopped right there.
Okay.
In comedy world, I did a whole bit where I took a picture of his butthole. But in reality, I'm like, I'm not taking a picture. We're not doing this because I'll go to jail at some point.
I think that's probably true. And I think
it's like I'm not.
It's not that he's asking you. That's a fine thing. Like, he can tell you all the stuff. It would be if he was coming into your room and saying, "Dad, you got to pick up all these tissues," or "Dad, or you were like, "Hey, can you take a picture of my butthole because I haven't ever seen it before."
Can you and Mom lock the door?
You know what I mean?
If you took the picture and then you know how your screen share goes to the TV when it jumps to the
that's the closer to the bit is it goes to my iPad.
Right.
It goes to the
That's
iPad.
I've at different times in their lives have come running into my room, like making the triangle and say, look, I have, and I'm like, "No, get out. I don't want to. That's great. Congratulations.
No,
get out.
Mine didn't make the he came out and was like, "Look, I got him," and he showed him to me. Like, great.
That's what my kids did, but they make a triangle over it and they like come out like that. And I'm like, to highlight it. I'm like, cool, get it.
At least they did presentational. Like mine was just like
that's exactly right, Eddie. They were like, ta-da.
So
I can't comment on
I had had an incident this week where my wife decided to give me a quick and easy Sunday morning hello.
Okay.
And from our hallway, I heard a raptor call in mid-business. I looked over. Now, we had purchased for my child's a while back this mask, which when you open the mouth, it roars.
Oh.
And I looked up like a meerkat from our position, and he is standing in the hall wearing this, and he keeps yelping, ow, ow, ow. And he runs straight at his mother and I, who are both without a stitch of clothing. He jumps on and he begins biting. I am frantically trying to throw the child away from me. He keeps bouncing back. He is full claws, slashing, biting. He bit his mother's ass. And at that point, I am like, you need to get out of here. And he never breaks character. He says to us with a raptor voice, then you need to put on clothes. And then he ran out of the room.
I mean, tell me, you looked at him out of the side of your eye and went, clever girl.
You know,
Is that your line?
Clever girl.
It should have been, they always hunt in packs, though. I'm surprised the other two should have been around the corner, right?
well, I mean, they may have been there just waiting for their opportune moment. I'm not sure, but I tell you what, nothing kills romance quicker than a raptor call. Man.
Now, did you make him feel comfortable in that moment, or no?
Did you minimize his feelings?
Yeah.
Did you try to save him from failure? Were you expecting perfection, or were you just overindulging your child?
I think he got the perfection. He didn't break character.
He feel comfortable.
I don't even know which of the three of you needs therapy the most from that situation. Everyone.
I'm breaking out in stress hives again. It's me.
Dude, here's what's crazy. Had you filmed and found one of those fetish sites with like very peculiar interests where it's like couples having sex with a dinosaur attacking them, you would make millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure Child Protective Services would love child's involvement. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Susan says kids remember everything and this will come back. She is not wrong. She is not wrong. This will come back at some point when you least expect it.
I mean, to be fair, that's going to be a real problem for my wife's second husband long after I'm dead. That's true. That is going to be a real issue for that guy. That guy's going to have some issues to deal with from those two kids. All right, here's the last big parenting mistake. And I think this is number one for all of us. And I think that this show is a huge part to rectify this situation. Parents do not take care of themselves. It says not taking care of yourself as a parent. And we just talked about it at the beginning of the show because I'm leaving Sunday. I'm going on a golf trip. My very first trip without the kids or my wife with my friends since the kids were born in 9 years.
Whoa.
And I'm having like panic. I'm losing like sleep. I'm a little nervous about the whole thing. It's like a 4-day trip. My wife was gracious enough to, we talked about it. She's like, okay. And I said, I really want to do this. I haven't. We booked it 2 years ago, and for the first time, I feel like I'm taking care of myself.
Yes. And
I think we as parents don't do it enough. And my wife's going on a trip in August. She's going on a trip to Sonoma with some friends of hers and her family. And without us, I'm staying home with the kids. And I think like this is the first year we've done it, but I am a huge proponent of this. And I think that you have to get away from everybody yourself. Is that's normal?
Yeah.
I hadn't done it until I came to California there for that week. And I mean, you saw me. But when I was done, I was so glad that I had taken that step because I realized that, she is stronger than we thought she was. She realized she was stronger than she thought she was. And I had my first time without the kids, which was great for my mental health.
Yeah. It took me until my oldest daughter was 7 to leave for a weekend. And then she projectile vomited in the top bunk of the bunk bed. And I have to say, I was so excited that it was not me that was home.
Eddie, have you gone? Well, you go on the road sometime. Like
I was
told you, like,
literally, yeah.
But that's not self-care,
I'm
right?
by myself, even though, but I'm working. So you're working. Like this is my first trip without any work. I'm not working at all.
I've never done that.
You
I've
should-
done things where I've gone working, where I've been on the road as a comic, but I've never gone and just like taken a trip for myself.
Mm.
I've never
you
done
should
that.
do that. And you all should be going away with your partner, with your spouses alone as well, with no kids at some point.
So
You really-
hard. It's
Well,
so
the child care becomes an issue because,
You know?
well, like I said, I told
Get
you,
divorced and find other, people to, because then, you got the 50-50 split. And then
That's
it's
true.
totally- that's about
Well,
what
that's why we interviewed the moms of Tampa, and I was like, listen, the divorce must have been awful, but joint custody has its advantages sometimes. We're like, it's not my weekend, I'm gone. So it is,
that is a true story. Yes,
it's
I
funny.
will say. But honestly, if you can find childcare at some point, I think that's the other thing that I would add to that list is that it's also important to get away with your significant other.
We need to book a gig for Eddie. Where would it be? Mazatlan? Are you doing a gig in Hawaii, Eddie? Maybe coming up.
I would Santa Monica would be fine.
That's just a night in
Just
Utah. Honestly, a
down
night
the
in
street
Utah.
would be.
I was gonna say in a tent community out there, or
Just I could sleep on the beach. It's fine.
right.
All right, honestly,
Literally-
we have to wrap. We've gone so crazy long. Honestly, one of my favorite shows tonight. I think it was super fun, and it was. I feel pretty great about from before the show till after. It's talking about it like that. So it was good.
Great.
Super fun. Honestly, all the people who came in, Narcolepsy, our new guy. Oh my gosh, it was so
Rustin
great.
Proven's
So
gonna
many
be
fun
this year.
info. We got Rustin Provence for Wisconsin 3rd Congressional District. That's very important stuff. So that's it, I guess. I got nothing else for tonight. Definitely check out Celia's podcast. Comes out tomorrow. Never thought I'd say this. Check out the Ralph Report with Ralph Garman. We got to have him back on. Eddie's show. I think it's on Patreon, but you can get one free one a week, and I think you'll subscribe immediately after that because it's a super funny show and it's great.
Awesome.
It's all about like a showbiz beat kind of thing, but they interview great guests and it's super funny. And then be sure if you're following us on YouTube or Facebook, please like us, subscribe, follow, and that's it. I guess I got nothing. Jason, anything?
No, we are also October 14th and 15th. We will be in Sayre, Pennsylvania at the Sayre Theater doing our live stand-up comedy show. Tickets go on sale August 16th.
Well, I'd definitely be involved in that. Eddie, maybe you'll have to just come for that show.
Maybe I'll just show up.
I know. That is part of the problem is like I never really felt the need to go away that much because I would go for stand-up, but it was also like, we don't work very hard on the road and it's usually a travel.
It's still kind of a break.
It's kind of a break anyway. But honestly, since the pandemic, I haven't done that. I don't really do the road much anymore because I'm home.
I haven't either.
I know. So I'm kind of going in this thing. So, all right. Hey, huge thanks to everybody. Celia, Eddie, my pal Jason, Jamie Kaler here. And we'll see you next time here on the Parents Lounge.
Good night.